Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Professor Prototype, here from the Ohio Invention League's Invention Convention program. I have with me today Christopher Wyche, Director for External Affairs at AT&T, and two Ohio Kid Inventors in recognition of Ohio's Kid Inventor Day celebration presented by AT&T. Meghana is a ninth grader from Lewis Center, Ohio, and received our 2020 Industry Innovator Award in Animals, Pets, and Agriculture at our statewide Invention Convention presented by Honda. Aaron is a 12th grader from Cincinnati, Ohio, and is our 2020 Industry Innovator in Technology. Both inventors earned a $375 529 College Advantage Savings Award and invitations to represent Ohio in the 2021 Invention Convention U.S. Nationals at the Henry Ford. Hello and welcome to you all. Meghana, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself and tell us the name of your invention and the problem it solves.
Hi, my name is Meghana of Lewis. I'm a 14-year-old in Lewis Center, Ohio, and my invention was called Bright Ripe, and it addressed the problem that a lot of apples during harvesting, they aren't getting properly harvested. So a lot of the ripe apples, people don't really know if they're ripe yet or not ripe yet because it's a really large orchard and it's hard to find exactly which ones are unripe and which ones are ripe. So my invention, it basically makes it easier to identify which ones are ripe and not. So yeah, you can, and I'm planning on making it an extension to another prototype that's already in progress. And that prototype basically just grabs all the apples from the trees. But this would be a good extension because it would help identify which ones to exactly pick.
Aaron, would you like to share a little bit about your invention and tell us the name?
Yes. Hello, my name is Aaron. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, 18. And my invention, which I named Chromatic, was a music visualization software that could effectively translate music and still be able to convey all the emotions and feelings that we experience when we're listening to music so that the deaf and hearing impaired are able to experience this as well. So like when I was 2 or 3 years ago, I was volunteering at a camp for like kids with learning disabilities, and I got to really see firsthand how music can really help people make connections, that they aren't really able to make any other way. And so I really want to be able to spread this to others. And so basically I created a software that it's able to read through a file of music and convert those at the time, switch with like how the music changes as well to visually represent how that music occurs.
Hello, Christopher, and thanks for joining us again today. What questions do you have for these young inventors?
Sure. So first and foremost, thank you again for inviting me here today to kind of talk to these young inventors. I'm always excited to hear about the projects that they come up with and the ideas that they have to kind of solve problems in our society. So kudos to both of you and congratulations on winning in your respective categories this year. I'm excited to learn more about where the thought process came for your ideas, but to start with, I do want to start with a topic that is touching us all, which is the COVID pandemic, and kind of hear how you are adjusting to life during the pandemic, whether that be in relation to your project or school, but just in general, how are you doing?
So for my program, luckily, most of the development process was completely digital. It was mostly coding. And then in terms of like trying to make it impactful, I wasn't able to work with certain organizations that I wanted to because they had to close down or go on hold because of the COVID crisis. To move on, I actually found a music teacher. She's from Canada, I believe, who I was able to work with, and she makes music videos and music and songs for kids. And so we collaborate so she can have another dimension for new people to interact with. So I would take her videos and convert them with my music visualizer, and then she could repost and redistribute them as a way to, still keep people connected.
But in general, in terms of your life, and has it been truly affected by the pandemic, or how are you and your family doing?
We're fine. I haven't really gotten to leave the house in a while. I was lucky. My school was able to go back for a little bit. But then around Thanksgiving, I had to go back online. So, and then we'll probably be back online afterwards. And then I have other activities, like I was planning on playing soccer, I wasn't able to. Then I'm on a robotics team as well, and that's been affected a decent amount. The entire competition itself has gone online, which is very interesting because this is an in-person robotics event where usually there's a couple thousand people at this event, and now we're dropping it to completely online. In some ways, it is helpful that they're adjusting, but it really is disappointing to not be able to, experience the full event.
I think in the beginning it was a lot harder. I do online school, so I'm completely online. We also have people that can go to the school, but I chose to stay home. So that kind of limited a lot of the classes I could take and stuff like that. And I'm still a freshman, so I wanted to explore everything, and I didn't get to do that. So that was really hard knowing that I couldn't do that. But I guess I'm just adjusting now. And regarding to my project, I'm still trying to figure out how to what are the next steps and stuff like that. And I'm trying to reach out to people still, so that's going well.
Good to hear that you guys have been able to find a good way to pivot and still work through the invention process, either working remotely with other folks that you've encountered, or just trying to find the best way to kind of navigate it. I think in today's day and age, the most important thing is staying safe. So glad to hear that you're both doing that in your own way.
So I'm wondering, what have you discovered about yourself because of going through the invention process? Are you relying on any of those skills now more during the pandemic? Because when we talk about inventing, we talk about perseverance, problem solving, determination, and certainly we've all been drawing on those skills in the past few months. Do you see yourself using those or getting stronger in those areas?
I mean, definitely had to, I guess, in a way, hold on and try to just keep on moving through the process. And I think another thing is trying to get a bit more creative with how I spend my time. Given that I'm more limited into where I can go. I mean, I have my basement and in my room now. I can't always go out and hang out with friends anymore or do any activities as much. So finding ways in which, I can still, keep myself engaged. I mean, obviously working on my projects, but, in schoolwork and such, but also going outside more and, just trying to find different ways to have fun and just engage yourself. So, yeah.
One that isn't talked about as much would be time management, because in the inventing process, I had to think about what I would do each day to get it done in time and really pace it out. And that's helped me with school. I know how to manage my time a lot better. And it's also helped me, I'm more determined to do things now too, that I wouldn't have been as determined before to do.
Nice to kind of discover those things. You don't realize the hobbies that you pick up when you're kind of stuck in the house or in your respective community for a very long time. I myself have picked up more gardening skills than I had before the pandemic picked up. So definitely hearing that from you both. Outside of the pandemic, kind of as you kind of go through the invention process, have you discovered any strengths or interests in academic areas that you didn't realize you had until you started this process?
In school, we used to do a lot of hands-on things, but we didn't really have the freedom to choose what, so I never knew I liked it that much. With the inventing process, I could basically choose how I wanted to go about doing it. So that was really fun to me because it was a different type of hands-on experience.
I don't know. I think I've become more interested in sort of with my project, getting to really find ways to bridge sort of disabilities in a sense. I've gotten to see with my project how helpful it's been to people and how rewarding it is to get a chance to really give something that others have not been able to experience and stuff like that. I guess is something that's been really cool with my project. In terms of where I might want to, how this has influenced my career path or education, I think the optics field is pretty cool now. And seeing how colors and light sort of can be manipulated to do things that you don't really think just a beam of light is able to do and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I love hearing the impact that inventing has had and helped you guys finding directions. Aaron, you talked a little bit and Meghana too about, helping other people. And one thing I see often as Professor Prototype is the empathy that inventors activate. So do you guys want to talk a little bit more about how you discovered your problems or why they were important to you to solve?
Yeah, so I discovered the problem because my neighbors they actually have an apple tree. And a lot of my time when I was younger, I used to pick a lot of apples off their tree. And I noticed how all the apples ripened at different times. And I didn't know how big of a problem it could be till I was like actively searching for things to create an invention for. And that one resonated most with me. So I chose to create an invention for that. There are actually like millions of apples that are getting wasted per year due to improper harvesting. So it would really help the farming industry and the merchandise industry as well. Because even if you look now, there will be a lot of unripe apples when you're trying to buy apples, and that's mainly due to the improper harvesting.
Really, it was getting to see, I guess, the connections that can be made through music. I mean, I'm sure we all have experienced a really moving song or moving. When I looked, into who was unable to experience this, obviously the deaf and hard of hearing came first to mind. And as I looked into the problem, obviously the deaf are unable to hear music or anything. But actually, in fact, many of those who have hard of hearing, even if they use like hearing aids or something, a cochlear implant, another form of hearing restoration, they mainly are actually developed so they can convert human speech to be used. So even then, even if you do get some sort of hearing restoration technology, it isn't really giving you the chance to listen to music. So it really increases the breadth of who is affected by this. And when you think about it, how large of a social impact music has, that really lets out so many people. It's about 11 million people who are hard of hearing in the U.S. And so when those people aren't able to talk to their friends or family about this, they lose social connections, and it really can actually affect their mental health and such. And so knowing that, and also just knowing not only what I first think was bringing them to a sense like a neutral, having the chance to experience music, and also a chance to bring them even further and a deeper connection to music with the emotional aspects and everything like that. I really thought it'd be really helpful and really give people these opportunities too.
I really love that selflessness, truly thinking about others in this circumstance and how you can improve their lives, but also caring about sustainability and how you can kind of improve that from a farming standpoint. You guys are, you kind of blow me away every year when I get to kind of hear about these projects. I tell this joke about my one inventing experience where I built this contraption to open my bedroom door, mainly because I didn't want to get up and open it myself. And it worked, and my parents hated it. But I was really thinking about myself, whereas you are thinking about larger projects that touch upon others. So kudos to both of you and the ideas that you're coming up with, because it's truly amazing. One question that I'm always curious about is, how did you get into inventing? Like, what was the spark that made you think, this is something I want to do with my life and my career?
I guess I kind of got into inventing, like at least like with like the Invention League. I mean, I think I've definitely been like tinkering and such forever. I remember in fifth grade, they kind of had us do a project where I had to. I was a bit selfish with my invention as well. My first ones, I built like a sort of a thing to carry my trash cans. I have a hill up my driveway, and the second I got my chore, I didn't want to do it. So I decided to take like an old RC tank my dad just had from a long time ago, and converted that and put a board on top of it and a ramp so I could, get my trash cans up my driveway, which is like, a hill. And so, I mean, I guess in that sense, I was like, well, you can do things now, right? It's kind of a really cool sensation. And so, as I got more interested in STEM and such as I grew up, I didn't really invent much for a while, but then I did like robotics and things, and I realized that, I can do more than just, little things and such, not just like, I don't know what, but anyway, so I was realizing that, and I was like, well, I also done like projects, and I know, they can have reach. And so I wanted to, make sure that, one of my projects had positive reach and not just, stuff I can put on my resume, but really stuff that can also help the community around me, stuff like that.
Me, I've been coding for quite a while now. So that was one experience I had, and I'm also in the robotics team for my high school, and I'm on the design team, so I get to like sort of try finding different ways to build the robot. And I never really experienced much with circuits, even I've played around with them, but I didn't know properly how to use them very well. So I got a lot of experience through this project with that. So I think I just like getting to know different things and how to use different things.
You just touched on something in regards to learning those skills of robotics and coding in other programs. And what I think is really interesting in what you're saying is that you were able to use those skills and apply it to a problem that you identified. How do you feel about having the power to choose the problem that you're solving?
I love being able to choose your own problem because I feel like if you're motivated about the actual problem, then you're gonna automatically, like you're gonna try finding ways to solve that problem. So I love identifying a problem that you really relate to.
Both of you are first time inventors for our program. And both of you came up with really interesting first problems. And we always say the more interesting the problem, oftentimes the more interesting the solution, right? So how did you search for your problem, or did it come to you easily, or what advice do you have to other students that are thinking, well, I mean, I don't know what problem I'm going to solve? How did you find your problem?
I did a specific volunteering camp, and then that led me down this certain path. But I guess it's just something. Maybe if you want to do something small, something that you find annoys you, I guess. Especially like it's like mechanical or just a way that you like this annoys me and I can see a solution. Let's try it. But then once you see it annoys you, see how that if that problem that annoys you is universal in a way, perhaps. Right? Like I didn't want to carry my trash cans up the hill, but there's probably other people who can't do that. People who, as you get older, obviously, like like grandma probably couldn't carry the trash cans up the hill, or somebody in a wheelchair couldn't do that. And so like obviously you have these annoyances, but perhaps your annoyances are greater for somebody else. And I don't know if that applies to this problem specifically, but for something like that, if I were to get into it, I think something like that would be really a good way. That way you already have a personal stake in the problem. And it's not just some, and it's kind of hard to build empathy at the very beginning. I felt sometimes, especially if you've never done it before, to really motivate yourself to do a problem. And so that can help you build empathy and see where the connections come from to get more out of solving a problem or creating an invention than just, oh, I'm solving a little thing for me.
I think it's always easiest to find a problem when it's based on your own experiences or even like the people around you. If your friend comes and tells you and it's like, oh, I had trouble doing this the other day or something like that, just find different ways. You don't even need to build it. I think just thinking about different ways that you would go about solving it, that would really help. And then when you find an actual problem that you want to solve, then you'll already have that mentality established and you would identify a way to actually create it.
I'm curious, if you look at the grander scheme of how we educate students across the state, why do you think it's important for high school students like yourselves and others to have opportunities to participate in Invention education programs?
I think these opportunities really especially students, they get kind of introduced to what they could potentially do when they grow up, and they could see a lot of different opportunities to help them in their future as well. And even right now, my whole mindset of how I view things has basically changed through the inventing process.
Like sort of what Meghana has talked about before, about just getting to do what you want. I think so many people feel that the school system is, in a lot of these organizations and such, sort of force you into a sort of a set path and things you have to learn. Like I have to take so many credits of physics and so many credits of English. And then I have to get to read the books I want to read and stuff like that, or learn the history I want to learn. So just getting a chance to do what you want for once, and seeing how that feels, and maybe you get to discover a little bit more about yourself through it and stuff like that.
What are your career interests or plans for the future?
Yeah, I mean, as a senior, I've been doing college stuff, so it's something I've definitely been thinking about. Um, it's definitely going to be in. I think it's engineering right now. I can't tell you what engineering. I really don't know. I mean, I've done stuff that could be considered like this has computer science aspects in it. I've done stuff that's completely biology, but also my robotics team is mechanical or electrical engineering, computer engineering. I'm not really sure. I've even done like management and stuff like that because I've helped work on my robotics team and other aspects that are beyond just I wouldn't say like service level engineering, but to people who are like hands on the robot. I've done stuff then also help manage them, stuff like that. So even like management systems engineering, which is something that exists that I found out through the college process. There's like so much, but I do know that like the idea of like being able to solve problems through like engineering and like math and science skills is definitely something that interests me. So I know engineering. I'm not really sure beyond that.
So I actually this past year I wanted to be a veterinarian, but recently I've been completely switching. Now I want to be a lawyer, but it could also be something medicine related. I love the speech aspect of things. Like even in this invention process, presenting was so much fun. I'm in my high school speech and debate club, which is also really fun. So I like the presenting aspect of things, which is why I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I also like more STEM related stuff. So I'm like one or the other right now.
Well, we'll keep you in the invention convention, and we'll turn you into an engineer yet. Just watch. The more you participate, we'll get you. Or even computer science. I think both of them are amazing trades to consider. We always do need more doctors and lawyers, so if that is your interest, then of course. But glad to hear that even this process has got you guys thinking about what the future looks like. I think we at AT&T are always proud to support Invention Convention and the Invention League because we know how important these STEM skills are for our own growth and development as a company, but also as a nation. So the more students we can encourage to go down these fields, the better. And I think other students who may not know about the Invention Convention or the invention process will see these videos, and this may be the spark that kind of gets them into those STEM fields.
Thank you, Christopher. And thank you, Meghana and Aaron, for sharing your stories today, inspiring us and inspiring other K through 12 students to identify a problem and solve it through invention.